20 years ago today, on my birthday, an old man in saffron robes looked at my palm and spoke 4 words that would quietly script the next 2 decades of my life. You will struggle financially. I laughed it off. My friend joked about it. We went for drinks. I forgot about it. Or at least, I thought I did. Because years later, when financial difficulties started showing up in my life, again and again and again, something strange would happen. That moment by the river would surface, like a whisper from the depths. Not even a full memory, more like an echo, a reminder. I told you so. The prophecy I'd forgotten had never left me. It had just gone underground, deeper than my conscious mind could see. And from there, it had been quietly, invisibly shaping my reality. Today, exactly 20 years later, I want to tell you this story. Not just because it's personal, but because hidden inside it is one of the most profound spiritual teachings I've ever encountered. About how your subconscious mind works, about how beliefs become reality, about the invisible scripts running your life that you never consciously chose, and most importantly, how to break the spell. Let me take you back to that day. 2005, fresh out of business school, 20-something years old, just joined a leading corporation as an executive. The world felt wide open, possibility everywhere. I was at a week-long training program in a hill station far from the city. Team building exercises, corporate bonding. You know the drill. In the evening, a coworker and I went for a walk, just exploring, seeing the sights, and we came upon this old man sitting by the river. Saffron robes, long white beard, the archetype of a mystic, you know? He struck up a conversation, friendly, curious. And then, almost casually, he offered to read our palms. Now, I want you to understand something about that moment. I wasn't particularly spiritual. I wasn't searching for answers. I was just young, curious, open. So I said yes. Why not? It's fun, right? He took my hand, studied the lines, and then he looked up at me with these eyes. I still remember them. Calm, matter of fact, like he was reading a weather report. And he said, "You will have financial struggles throughout your life." I didn't care, not really. I mean, I was 24, just landed a corporate job, the world was mine. What did some random palmist know? My friend laughed and said, "It's fun to have financial struggle." We both cracked up, went for drinks. The whole thing felt like entertainment. A story to tell later. And then, life moved on. I forgot about it. Completely. Or so I thought. Because here's what I didn't understand then. What took me years to realize. Your conscious mind forgets. But your subconscious, it records everything. Every word. Every suggestion. Every belief that slips past your critical awareness and lands in the deep. That moment by the river, it was my birthday. I was in an altered state, away from home, in nature, in a mystical setting, meeting an archetypal wise man. My defenses were down. My rational mind was on vacation. The seed didn't plant itself in my thoughts. It planted itself somewhere deeper. And seeds that go that deep, they grow in the dark. Fast forward a few years, I'm working, earning, living life. And then, financial difficulties start showing up. Nothing catastrophic at first, just friction, unexpected expenses, opportunities that fell through, deals that should have worked but didn't, money coming in, money going out, but somehow never quite enough. And here's the strange part. Every time it happened, that memory would surface. Not fully, not consciously, more like a shadow passing over, a feeling. He told you this would happen. Now I need you to understand something critical here. I wasn't thinking about that palmist. I had genuinely forgotten the incident on a conscious level. Years would go by without me remembering it at all. But somewhere deep inside, below thought, below memory, below awareness, those 4 words were alive. They had become a belief. Not a belief I chose. Not a belief I agreed with. A belief that had embedded itself in the operating system of my subconscious mind. And beliefs don't just sit there passively. They're active. They shape perception. They guide decisions. They create expectations. Think of it like this. Your conscious mind is the part of you that's hearing these words right now. The narrator, the thinker, the part that makes plans and sets goals. But your subconscious mind? That's the vast, dark ocean beneath. It's running your heartbeat, your breathing, your immune system. It's storing every memory you've ever had, every word you've ever heard, every experience you've ever forgotten. And it's also creating your reality, not because it's magic, but because it filters what you notice, influences what you expect, and subtly guides your behavior in ways your conscious mind never sees. Looking back now, I can see it so clearly. When opportunities for financial abundance would appear, some part of me would unconsciously sabotage them. Not dramatically, just small hesitations, subtle self-doubt, a voice whispering, "This probably won't work out." When people would offer me lucrative deals, I'd find reasons to say no. Too risky, too good to be true, not the right time. When money came in, I'd spend it in ways that kept me in struggle. Not wastefully, but carefully, unconsciously, perfectly calibrated to maintain the pattern. Because somewhere deep inside, the script was written. You will struggle financially throughout your life. And my subconscious mind, loyal, obedient, perfect servant, was simply making sure the prophecy came true. The moment I truly saw this, not intellectually, but viscerally, was maybe 2 years ago. I was in meditation, and this memory surfaced. Crystal clear. The old man, the river. Those 4 words. And for the first time, I saw it for what it was. Not a prediction, a program. Not destiny, programming. Now here's where this connects to something far deeper than just my personal story. Because what happened to me that day by the river, this planting of a belief that shaped reality, this is how all of us are programmed. All the time, from birth. In Buddhism, they call it conditioning. In Hinduism, it's called samskaras, mental impressions that create karmic patterns. In psychology, it's called subconscious programming. Different words, same truth. Most of what you think are your authentic beliefs, your natural reactions, your personal limitations. They're not yours at all. They're seeds planted by your parents, your teachers, your culture, your early experiences. Words spoken to you when you were too young to question them. Beliefs you absorbed through repetition and emotional intensity. Money doesn't grow on trees. Life is hard. You're not smart enough. People like us don't succeed. Love never lasts. Innocent comments, passing remarks. Said once, maybe twice. But if they land in the right moment, when your defenses are down, when you're young or vulnerable or in an altered state, they sink deep. And from that depth, they run your life. In my video about whether life is already written, I explored the paradox of destiny versus free will. How infinite versions of you exist simultaneously. How your soul might have chosen this path. But here's the layer I didn't fully address. Your experience of which timeline you're on isn't just determined by cosmic forces or quantum probabilities. It's shaped by what you unconsciously believe is possible for you. That abundant version of me my conscious mind could feel but couldn't access? The subconscious belief was literally filtering him out, creating a reality tunnel where only the struggling version was visible, possible, real. The ancient Vedic texts say, "As you think, so you become." The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The Buddha taught, "All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world." But here's the twist they don't always make clear. It's not your conscious thoughts that create your reality. It's your subconscious beliefs. You can think positive thoughts all day long. Affirm abundance. Visualize success. But if underneath, in the deep, there's a belief that says you will struggle, that's the program that wins. The subconscious is far more powerful than the conscious mind. Some say it's operating 1,000,000 times faster, processing 40 million bits of information per second, while your conscious mind handles maybe 40. Your conscious mind is the captain on the ship's deck, but the subconscious is the entire crew, the engine room, the navigation system. It's running the show. So when that old man spoke those 4 words, he wasn't predicting my future. He was programming it. And I, young, open, in a mystical setting, on my birthday, my defenses down, I received the program without question. Not because I wanted to, not because I chose to, but because that's how consciousness works. So how do you break a spell you didn't know you were under? How do you deprogram something that's been running silently in the background for decades? Let me share what worked for me. Not as a formula, because everyone's path is different, but as a map. First, awareness. You can't change what you can't see. The moment I recognized that belief, truly saw it, felt it, understood how it had been operating, something shifted. Consciousness is the cure, the light that reveals the shadow. What was unconscious became conscious, and what's conscious can be questioned. I started asking, what other beliefs am I carrying that I never chose? What did my parents say about money, about success, about what's possible for someone like me? What did my teachers imply? What did my culture assume? You don't need to analyze every memory. Just sit quietly and ask, what do I really believe about money, love, success, myself? And listen. Let the answers surface. They will. Second, question the belief. Once I saw the belief, I asked, is this actually true? Not, was the palmist right? But is it cosmically universally true that I must struggle financially? And when I really looked, no. Of course not. That's absurd. There are people who grew up in worse circumstances and created abundance. There are people with no education who thrived financially. There are infinite examples of people breaking the supposed rules. The belief wasn't truth. It was just a belief. A program, a story. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." I'd add, it's not what was said to you, but whether you continue believing it that matters. Third, consciously choose a new belief. This is where it gets interesting. Do not just reject the old belief. Install a new one. Not through affirmations alone, though those can help, but through feeling, through visualization, through acting as if. Sit in meditation and feel what abundance feels like. Not imagine having money, but feel the frequency of already being abundant, safe, provided for, overflowing. Make financial decisions from that state, not from fear or scarcity, from trust. And slowly, not overnight, but slowly, reality will start shifting. Opportunities will appear. The struggle will eventually soften. Fourth, and this is crucial, I had to release the victim story. It would have been so easy to say, "That palmist cursed me. He ruined my life. It's his fault." But that keeps the power outside of me. That keeps me trapped. The truth is, he spoke 4 words. I gave them meaning. I gave them power. I kept them alive by unconsciously believing them. Taking responsibility, not blame, but responsibility, is liberation. If I created this reality through belief, then I can create a different one. Today, 20 years later, I can look back at that moment by the river with gratitude. Not because I'm glad it happened, but because it taught me one of the most important spiritual lessons of my life. You are not your beliefs. You are the awareness that can observe them, question them, and choose new ones. So let me ask you something. What's your river moment? What belief was planted in you, maybe by a parent, a teacher, a friend, a stranger, even yourself, that's been quietly running your life? You're not good enough. You'll never be wealthy. Love always ends. You're just like your father. People like us don't succeed. Can you feel it? That invisible weight you've been carrying? That story you've been unconsciously living out? Here's what I want you to know. Whatever was said to you, whatever you came to believe about yourself, about life, about what's possible, it's not destiny. It's programming. And you, the awareness hearing these words right now, you're the programmer. The prophecy that old man spoke didn't have power because he was psychic. It had power because I gave it power by believing it, by letting it sink deep, by never questioning it. But the moment I saw it, truly saw it, the spell began to break. That's the gift of consciousness, of awareness, of waking up. In another video, I talked about the illusion of the ego, how we're not the separate self we think we are, how the stories we tell about ourselves are constructs. Well, this is that teaching in action, the struggling version of me, the one who has to face financial difficulties. He's not who I am. He's a character I unconsciously agreed to play, a role written by 4 words spoken 20 years ago. But I'm not the character. I'm the awareness, the consciousness that can witness the character, step out of the role, and choose a new script. And so are you. So here's my invitation. Sit quietly, get still, and ask yourself, what have I been unconsciously believing about myself, about my life, about what's possible for me? Where did that belief come from? Did I choose it? Or was it planted? And most importantly, is it actually true? Because the moment you see the belief clearly, you've already begun to free yourself from it. Awareness is the first step to liberation. And the second step? Choosing a new story. One that serves you. One that's true to who you really are. Infinite consciousness, temporarily playing human. 20 years ago, an old man by a river told me I would struggle financially. Today, I'm telling you, you don't have to believe every prophecy spoken over your life. You get to choose. Drop a comment below and tell me, what belief have you been unconsciously living out? What's your river moment? Let's bring it into the light together. And if this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. We're all breaking spells together. Thank you for being here. Until next time, remember who you really are.